Here's part of the new practice system I've been working on to help you make the most of any valuable practice time you're able to get on a snooker table. And it's designed specifically to give you the most help with the bits of your game that you're struggling with the most. This is Break From Life. Welcome back, and it's your first time watching one of our videos, and it's fantastic to have you here. I realised not too long ago that I had to deal with something, change something, specific to the way I practice, because despite how well I'm able to play, my game still has a lot of weaknesses, and it often means I try everything to avoid what are really quite basic shots. Now, of course, this isn't a great place to finish on the black, but it's still a shot I struggle with. So I decided to do something about it. Because I think for almost any player, if you leave the balls in a certain position, they are going to find the shot very awkward to play. And it only needs this shot to come up early on in a potential break to steal from you the potential of scoring a lot of points. And of course, it only takes one awkward shot to stop you. The next 30 or so points may be very comfortable for you to take, but because the awkward shot's in the way, it feels out of reach. I don't think players really realise the amount of difference the results of one or two shots can make to an entire frame, or how you feel you're actually playing. So I decided to find a way to work on the very shots I'm having the most difficulty with. Now, I'm not talking about really difficult shots, the shots you'll have the most difficulty playing. I'm saying you need to find a way to practice the most straightforward shots you're having problems with. So this means I've got to find a solution to this problem, as well as compensate for the amount of practice I might lose in other areas, and do it all in 3 steps. And not only that, we're going to have time to pin Tazwar from Dhaka, Bangladesh. Step 1. Now, even if you just played a few frames of snooker recently, you could probably think of at least one shot that's really frustrating you. Now, if you can't think of any shots automatically, there's a fairly easy way to find out. All you need to do is get 15 reds and the cue ball, set them up like this, and give them a smash. It may even take a few goes of playing shots in random positions like this, but eventually you're going to come across a shot that you're struggling with and keeps coming up. But because it's the biggest problem I think I have at the moment, I'm going to be using the black from earlier. So the shot I'm trying to play here is to pop the red and run the white round 2 cushions. And I thought it would really help me to practice a shot I'm struggling with. But that's when something really unexpected happened. So the plan was just to get used to the angle, the pace, and hopefully feel a lot more comfortable on the shot. But unfortunately, no matter what I tried, I couldn't get comfortable on the shot. It felt both incredibly difficult and awkward. But why? Because I really don't feel confident on this shot, it's causing me to make a lot of mistakes, like snatching at the ball, cueing across it, or even completely moving my bridge hand. So not only am I practicing a shot I'm struggling with, it's actually exposing all my weaknesses that will come up from time to time on other shots. And this means by focusing on the shots I really don't like the look of, I'm actually able to fix weaknesses in my technique. So what I'm doing for this routine is potting 5 reds and then alternating between each side of the table. You want to be practicing your weak shots, but you really don't want to be overdoing it, and that's why I recommend doing between 20 and 50 shots in one go like this. Now here's what to do if you find a shot that you're so unconfident with that it actually causes technical errors. Because it's practice, we don't have to be overly concerned about actually potting the ball. So when I'm on this shot, instead of focusing on potting it, I can just focus on keeping still, making sure I get all my timing right. Now that may mean I miss, but eventually, if I manage to stay still on the shot, don't change the angle and avoid snatching at it, I'll be able to make the shot more predictable. I'll get used to exactly what I'm doing wrong.
Because as I've discovered, playing shots I'm uncomfortable with shows up all possible errors. And that should at least give me ideas of what I can do to help improve my technique.
So my plan is to keep practicing this shot until I feel fully confident with it, and then just to move on to another shot that I'm also struggling with, and I don't really think I'm going to have much trouble finding it.
And someone else I didn't have much trouble finding was Cricketer04 from Houston, Texas in the United States of America. The second step will help with all the other things you need to practice as well.
But of course, snooker isn't all about potting. At times, controlling the cue ball can be just as vital as well. And if you're just playing a load of repetitive shots, you may well find that you lose the touch that's required to actually be in control of the cue ball. And eventually, this is something you're going to need to practice. Otherwise, it could have consequences.
So here's a quick way to help practice your touch by playing 7 separate shots into the D.
To start off with, all I'm looking to do is play the cue ball back into the D from the blue spot, the pink spot, and then the black spot. Play the cue ball off the top cushion and all the way back into the D, and playing a positional shot into it from the blue spot,
Usually with a stun shot,
the pink spot,
with more of a screw shot,
and the black spot.
This is just a good quick way to learn better control of the cue ball. And the other thing I've just learned is that Christoph is watching us from Vienna in Austria. Step 3 is designed to help with something else that's a little more tricky.
Making the cue ball screw back at a very slow pace is actually a very difficult shot to play, but if you can get it right, it can seriously help your game.
Not only can it be a little bit easier to deliver the cue straight with slightly less speed, the reduced pace is also going to help the object ball drop in when it gets to the pocket. It also allows the cue ball to react slightly faster, meaning you can get in a wider range of positions.
So this is how I'm practicing getting maximum spin on the cue ball without having to strike it too hard. What you want to do is line up about 8 or so reds in line with the pink spot, and then place the white halfway between the pink and black spot. You're then trying to get the cue ball to screw back as much as possible without playing the red in and out of bulk. It's actually very difficult to get any backspin at all on the cue ball when you've got to play it slow enough for the red not to come back past the bulk line.
The purpose of this shot is to try and generate as much backspin as possible with a limited amount of power. It really isn't an easy shot to play because you have to trust your ability to slow the shot down with the amount of backspin you're putting on the cue ball, and makes it a challenge to play a shot without quitting on it.
It doesn't really matter how far you screw back, but what's more vital is your cue arm gets used to generating backspin at a very slow pace. It's most valuable on these sort of shots though, where just by being able to leave the cue ball this side of straight, I've got an easy shot to get on the next red.
Does it mean it's the only thing I'm practicing? No, far from it. I'm actually using a number of other routines as well. But I am using this as the base of my practice, the bare minimum, the thing I know I've definitely got to get done. I know it's going to help me with the shots that need the most amount of work and keep the rest of my game together. Because I know every single time I play a match, I'm going to find shots that I'm not 100% confident with.
My plan is to eliminate all the weaknesses in my game, starting with the most significant.
And that way, as soon as I feel confident with one shot I used to struggle with, then I'll be able to find a new shot that needs just as much or possibly even more work.
And to use this as a bare minimum base for my practice, not a replacement for it. But if it's to work, I do need to get some technical things right.
And this involves good cueing and good alignment. So if you want to find out more about aiming in snooker, then have a look at our snooker aiming trick. Or if you want to improve your cueing, have a look at our straight cueing video. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website. See you later.